Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday Live. Yay. Hi, Ian. Oh, we'll be able to hear you soon, I'm sure. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties.
Okay, how about now?
Ooh, there you are.
Yeah, okay. We are having the most crazy kind of things this week with technical difficulties, unfortunately.
The joys of technology.
Yeah, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, we got a little bit of echo there, and I know I have to have delayed audio, so I hope you guys are just excited to be with us. It's going to be a great night discussing the talk notes from this past week. It was honestly, again, a really, really powerful message. We have a great team of hosts. We have Eva already saying hi. Hello.
Yes, hello,
We have
hello.
Dave probably chatting, and John's probably going to pop in. Abe might pop in. We just have we have a great team. And we're just really excited to start this. So, welcome. If you are here with us, say hi in the chat. We would love
Yes.
to say hi back. And Ian and I do our best to read the comments and
Yes.
to say hi to everybody. And yeah, we just love the interaction. So, Ian, why don't you just share with us about what we heard on Sunday?
All right, so continuing in our series, A Better Way. Our series this week was Your Best Days Are Now. And I know Craig kind of touched on, being present in the moment and that we want that. We can find ourselves getting very distracted or easily distracted from things and not focusing on what's right in front of us. And I know I find myself there sometimes where it can be hard, can be easily distractions, but I like how Craig put it together of putting, focusing, being focused on what you're doing, not just there, but focused and present with who you're with and what you're doing.
Yes.
So we're going to jump into some scripture here. Our first one is from John 2, verses 8 to 10. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheap wine after every guest have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." Again, just being present. Love that. Being there in the moment and just seeing what Jesus did, but, not realizing everything, as the bridegroom didn't know, and just being present in there. Our next one is from Luke 19, verses 1 to 2. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there named by the name of Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector and was wealthy. Now, I like this verse because it leads into a bit more about Zacchaeus and that Jesus had stopped and actually knew his name, never met him before. And I just thought, wow, that's like really present. Like, you see the guy in a crowd and, hey, Zacchaeus, I need to talk to you. Like, to me, that's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think those verses were a great reminder of that, like that he was just, you kind of ignore everything else and you just see the moment and like just be present in it. And yeah, very, very powerful. And yeah, what a great, great message. So thank you for those verses. We'll get us started to have a great discussion. So we're going to start off with question number 1. Wow. Share about the best day of your life.
Woo. Yeah, that's a tough one. We kind of discussed this a little bit last night, and it's hard to put an exact best day ever. I think we can accumulate a bunch of good days kind of together as these have been really, really good. But a best day, man, that's a tough one. If I had to pick maybe the best day, Probably would have been when my son Emmett was born. That at the moment I would say has probably been my best day. Becoming a dad and getting to see him and yeah, just be with him. After he was born, I think to me at the moment that would be probably the best day so far.
Oh, that's so good. You stole mine. The best day of my life, yeah, was when my son was born. That's just you can't beat that. Like when your child is born, it's just honestly so amazing. And I can't wait for our second one to be born, and that might be the second best day of my life, or maybe even top. I don't even know. It probably might like it's on the same scale of the
Yep.
best day of my life.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just like Eva. I have had many best days, and Ian, you said that too. Like it's hard to pick one.
It
It's
can
been
be.
so many good things. Yeah. So let us know in the chat what has been your best day. Um, oh, Dave doesn't have a best day ever. Lots of
Yes.
great days. Yes,
I was
summer
just reading
camp
that.
when your boys were born, vacation, worship nights. Yes, so many good things have happened. So yeah, it is really hard to pick that one thing. Um, but yeah, that's excellent. Question number 2. Talk about some common ways you find yourself getting distracted. How could you start being more present instead?
That is a good question. As again, kind of described again, it's easy to become distracted, especially, lots of things can easily draw your attention, of course. Social media being a big one can really um, draw you away from being present, either, with a person or even just being present in a bigger group setting. It's easy to, flip that phone and just kind of go off in your own little world. Um, for me personally, I get distracted easily with a lot of thoughts about the future, things that I kind of want to be doing, things that I may want to get to or get started, or having this big old grand idea of I'm going to accomplish this, I'm going to do that. And I find myself, my mind runs and races away, and I can easily lose touch with being present with who's in front of me, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be difficult to try to keep yourself focused on exactly what's ahead of you.
Yes. Yeah. Um, is there a way that you could start being more present instead? Like,
Yeah, I think it's got to be kind of either trying to push those ideas down or have like an idea brainstorm time built in where I can sit, write down my ideas so they're not constantly like rolling around in my head and pop up at the generally the most inopportune times. Um,
yep.
I think that would probably be the best way to get going, is just have a little brainstorm time, pad of paper, write it down, and then I can stop having to think about it as much.
That's an excellent idea. Yeah, just getting them out of your brain and onto paper, it like frees that space for more being more present in the moment. Yeah.
Yep.
I was reading John's video games. I
Yep.
can't relate, but I totally get it. Dave's got off the screen for me, but he's talking about leadership. And thank you, John. It's so easy to get distracted when you're leading something. Your attention's on what everyone else is doing and how things are going. And yeah, that's so true. Leadership can definitely pull you in different ways and can be
Mm-hmm.
distracting. Yes.
Yeah, I
And
was
for
reading.
Eva, one.
Yeah, Eva's here about just being at work. You tend to be work focused, again, focusing on the work and not the people. Um, and yeah, it's her taking her step about just needing to be reminded or reminding herself that people are important. It's not just about the work or the job that you do.
Yep. Yep. And Dave, you're saying how it helps you when you force yourself to focus on what the person in front of you is saying. Definitely. That's I think one thing, Ian, that I can kind of pull from yours and then pull from Dave's. Like when I'm listening to someone, a lot of the time I'm like thinking about what's in my head, and
Yep.
like those thoughts will overpower over what the person is saying, and you don't really like fully listen to them. And then when they kind of stop their sentence, you're like, oh, I wasn't really listening. Like it's almost an embarrassing moment where you're like, I was not in the moment. And
Yep.
so yeah, it's like putting those thoughts aside because they're very distracting. So yeah,
Yep.
inner dialogue. For me, unfortunately, recently it's been my phone, just because now I'm at home, so like constantly checking social media and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, very distracting. Um, and I think how I could start being more present is, yeah, I think writing down my thoughts, like a lot of unknowns about the future, especially with a new baby coming, like what it's going to look like, writing those worries down so that I don't have to keep them in my head.
Yep.
Kind of like you, like free that space so that I can think about other things and think about people more
Yep.
than, what's going on. So, yeah, um, some very good things to be aware of, and then how can we be more present. So that's excellent. Um, we'll go on to the third question. Do you truly believe that your best days are now? Why or why not?
Man, I want to say yes, but
Hmm.
it's hard one to say yes to, um, because you know you get working, you get the hard days, things aren't going well, and oh, tomorrow's going to be a better day, and then you end up with the same kind of day, and then it's tomorrow's going to be a better day, and then I think I can find myself getting into that kind of a cycle where it's almost a cycle of it's just going to get better, but it's never the best now.
Yep.
Um, but we talked a little bit about it last night and how that changing the mindset of what it really looks like. And just because maybe a hard day at work doesn't mean when you come home, you have this, for me, my son, full of energy, excited to see me. And it's like, oh, this is a good day. This is you know, a best day, right? And trying not to focus on just like one thing throughout the day, but looking at maybe the smaller pieces of how each part of the day could be really good. So
Yep.
I think it's yeah. We'll get to being the best days are now for sure.
Yeah. No, I love the honesty on that. Like you wanted to believe that, but just thinking like maybe tomorrow will be better or whatever. Like we keep thinking either our future will be our best days or like our past was our best days or whatever. And it's hard to think in the present that these are our best days. And I think I struggle with that too. I feel like in the future it will be my best days. Like right now, doesn't really feel like that. And definitely not, my past was definitely not my best days. So like, how do I use, or how do I look at in the moment now that these are my best days?
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard, especially when we have all those thoughts, to be thinking now. Um, so if we do write down all of our thoughts, maybe it will free up that space to think, yes, now is our best days. Like, so
Yep.
yeah, just reading Dave's comment. It's amazing
Yep.
to think that your attention, focus, and effort can make anything into a best day, especially if you're serving people around you. That's for sure. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We're going to quickly get into our last question because, again, time is flying.
Line passed.
So, question number 4. Do you typically have a harder time surrendering the past you can't change or trusting God with a future you can't control? Why is that?
Man, wow, that's a deep one. Um,
Good.
man, say that one again. Sorry, gotta read that one again.
I know it's hard to wrap your head around. Do you typically have a harder time surrendering the past you can't change or trusting God with a future you can't control?
Yeah, I'm reading Eva's comment here. I'm on the same here. I think the future's harder because
Yep.
it's so uncertain, right? And not having control over the future, it almost feels like you're just kind of just like in suspense waiting. Um, but knowing God's got a plan for me, knowing that my direction's planned out by Him, certainly helps to ease that anxiety that builds up in me. Thinking about the future, thinking about where things will be, um, But my past is, of course, behind me. I can't change it, so I generally don't dwell on it. So for me, that's not a big deal. The past is the past, but the future can be very different, and that's I'd say scares me a little bit more about trying to really embrace all that God has for me and trust Him in every area of my life, for sure.
Yeah, I think I see everybody's kind of thinking along the same lines about trusting Jesus with the future. That's the same for me. Unfortunately, like I know that the past I can't change. So like if I come to terms with that, I
Yep.
feel like that is like I can wave it off easier. It's the future part that is really hard because I don't find myself being much of a control person. But when it comes to like my future, I kind of want to hold on to it and make sure that if I do these things, it will turn out this way. And honestly, that's not how it goes. So I love that trusting God with the future has more hope in it because as we become a fully devoted follower of Christ, we're growing, which means that we're going to be trusting God more and more each day. If we're intentional about getting to know Jesus more, that to me just has so much hope. And so I, even though I have a harder time with that, there's more, yeah, as I said, hope in that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I will be able to trust God with my future, and it doesn't matter the outcome. He's got it, and I can trust that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Just reading Eva's comment here that that she's still young, but I feel like you should have that she'd have her life together already, family, house, career, etc. is all moving, and it is scary to think that God, your will be done in my life. Like it's a big weight. But I think again, series ago about ripping up that list, we set that list together, kind of like what Eve was describing about a family, a house, a career, a this, or that, right? And having that list, and we gotta rip those up. We gotta get rid of them, and we gotta let God guide us in the direction we need to go and where we need to be. It's tough, but as you were saying, it's just comforting and knowing that God's got us. Certainly makes the future less scary.
yes, totally. Wow. Very well put. Love it. Well,
Oh
look what time it
man,
is.
I this is crazy. This is crazy. I feel like we just like fly through this and like I don't know, we just seem to fly through it. But
I know.
that of course wraps up our time right now. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Everyone who's on here hosting, and everyone that's checking this out. We just want to thank you guys for coming and just being a part of this. If you're certainly looking for more information, there are links in the chat that can, guide you a little further, get to the questions, maybe dive a little deeper. And again, if you haven't watched the Sunday message, want to rewatch the Sunday message, you could, of course, catch it on our YouTube channel. It's LifeNorth.Church. So everything, of course, is there to watch, the current stuff, previous stuff, all there. A great way to dive deeper into these questions that go along with the messages is a life group. If you're not in a life group, you want to get one, we can certainly get you connected. Or maybe it's start one with a bunch of friends. That's another great way. Start discussing it together. Either way, it's a great way to get more information and certainly dive in deeper. And of course, we want to invite you guys back next week at 5:40. We, of course, will be here and again, having lots of fun. So we want to remember, whoever finds God
Finds life.